Welcome to the Art of Equine Alchemy podcast. I'm Amber Lydic, a former horse trainer with over 20 years of experience specializing in performance horses with behavioral issues. When my own life took a dark turn, I dove deep into my own healing journey, leading me to certifications in somatic breathwork, ThetaHealing, EAGALA, and personal development coaching. This podcast aims to bridge the gap between science and spirituality within the equine industry. Through healing journeys and real stories shared by courageous individuals, we explore how they reclaimed their power and found their voices for themselves and their horses. Our intention is to lead a shift that challenges traditions that no longer align with our updated understandings of the horses and humans, mind, body, and spirit. Join us in giving everybody permission to do the same. My current mission is to create an expansive platform and community, online and in person, to connect with conscious and compassionate people in the equine industry who have the courage to speak up on behalf of the horses. So excited you have found us and cannot wait for you to join us. Hey there, welcome to the Art of Equine Alchemy podcast. This is the first episode of many, and also simultaneously an afterthought. My intention was to record some interviews with the presenters for the live event, The Art of Equine Alchemy, that is happening here in California, 2024. And it all of a sudden mutated into, why don't I just do a podcast and take it beyond who's going to be there and see what happens? So this may just be a short-lived season, or it may be more. Who knows? But we're starting here. I like to follow the inspired action and see where it takes me. So that's basically what is happening and how this was born. Today, I want to share the story of how the Art of Equine Alchemy came to be born, and then also just give you a quick intro on who I am. So this started from me being a presenter at an expo here in California. I was so excited to be invited. And if I'm being totally honest, I think the main reason I was invited is because it was right after COVID and they were having a really hard time getting trainers across the border. And I had done their online event. And so let's just say I don't know if I would have been picked if the circumstances were just right. But I will also say that it was a catalyst for this live event being born, and it was a huge step in me really advocating for myself, what I do in the horses. And it made me really step out of my comfort zone. And so a lot of good came from it. It was supposed to happen. So we're just going to leave it at that. I will say in the off time, I decided to go with some of my clients who were there to support me. And we had picked several trainers we wanted to watch their presentations. And one of them was someone who is very well known, movie after him, book after him. Really was someone who I had heard his name so many times. And I will stretch to say that probably people that aren't even in the horse world have heard his name. This is how this person is known. So I was excited. My clients were really excited. And we all took our places on the bleachers, kind of sprinkled out through everyone because it was crowded once we got there. And I quickly recognized there was a trailer in the arena and that it was going to be a trailer loading demo. And I heard from the beginning there was a little bit of disruption, a little bit of chaos in the arena. And I guess he had requested a round pen to be brought in, which is something that lots of trainers do. And so they shuffled around and the horse was out there and he was pretty nervous just being in that environment in general. And so the person was walking him around the arena while they were scrambling to find panels. And so there was just some downtime and he was talking and filling in the space while they built this round pen. And I just became very, very aware of this horse and the state of mind that it was in to begin with, and how tuned in and much of a priority I make that when I train horses. And I can't say that that's always been the case, but I just looked at the situation and I said, well, the horse is nervous as heck all on its own without the trailer even being involved. Why would we add the trailer? Now, I know that clinicians get a lot of pressure to do the demo they said they were going to do. But how much more would it have honored the situation, the horse, and been just a testament to what are we doing with our horses in quote unquote horsemanship? Nevertheless, the horse was led into the round pen and became increasingly nervous. His eyes were just huge. He was shaking. He was already sweating before they had even begun to work him. And I mean, even at this point, it was really hard for me to watch. And after that, they gave him to the trainer and they did a little bit of flag work in the round pen. And the round pen was probably a fourth of what a regular round pen would be. It was very small. It was not very many panels. So needless to say, there was not a lot of space. And the horse was just frantic. He was slamming up against the panels, and the flag was going. And at this point, I was like, get me out of here. But, we stayed. And the words that came from his mouth, which I don't disagree with, was this horse thinks and associates going into that trailer with dying, survival. He thinks I'm going to do everything I can do to stay away from that because I might not make it, which I is valid, absolutely valid. And what really got me and really was like a punch in the gut for me is when he said, the only thing you have to do to get this horse in the trailer is have him be more afraid of you than the trailer. And so in that moment, I just thought, are we really doing this? Is this really happening? Are all of these hundreds of people sitting in awe and in respect of what this man has done and does, listening to what he's saying right now and going to go ahead and take that home with them and take that into their training programs and take that into the relationships with their horses? I was just sick. I was sick to my stomach. And I will also say the sickness that I was experiencing was probably from a bit of shame that I was experiencing in that moment. Because while I never said those words, what I had done to horses out of the way I was taught or just tradition or the way that people do things was so similar to what was going on. And I recognized my own judgment in that moment of what was going on and how it was very tied into what I had done before I knew better, before I understood the nervous system, before I understood that there was a totally different way to go about this. There doesn't have to be dust flying. There doesn't have to be panic. There doesn't have to be anyone afraid of anything to be able to be successful and get these goals met. So I will say in that moment, I recognized I had been living in a bubble. I had been at home, not going and doing a lot of clinics. And if I did, they were at client barns. I wasn't at a boarding stable anymore. I was just living in this space of this is the way you do it. And when I stepped out into the quote unquote real world, I realized it was very different. That was a moment that I said to myself, I want to create a platform, a venue, an event where you didn't have to be careful with who you saw. You didn't have to be worried about stumbling into, you know, a presentation that was going to make you so uncomfortable that, you wanted to leave in the middle of it. And we did, by the way, leave in the middle of that. And I just knew that there has to be a better way, that there is a shift happening in the industry. And then there's a lot of really old, quote unquote, traditions that are stuck and that are not in the horse's best interest or the person's best interest because we've just learned too much. And that's the way things evolve. I will say there is a lot in the tradition that's amazing. So it's not that it's all bad. It's just there is this new way and there is a balance. The second thing that I see happening right now is that there's this really large swing in a pendulum of people where you're either operating in a way where you're entitled to their bodies. You're expecting them to give you what you want when you want because they're your horse. You've paid the trainer, you buy their food, you get them body work, you do all the things, and all they have to do is XYZ. There are these expectations of what you are owed. And when you swing the other direction, there are people that have recognized that maybe that was how they were or see it in the industry and don't want anything to do with it. But so much so that they swing into the direction of almost like these horses are fragile flowers that we don't want to even touch. And the only way they can be happy is if they live out in a herd in an ideal situation. And if we can't give them that, then we are shit owners. And I'm here to say that there is a happy medium place where the partnership can be strong. It can be a prosody between the both of you. You can do the things that you enjoy, and they can enjoy doing them with you, and vice versa. There is a space where that is happening. It is happening and it is successful. And there are trainers, there are body workers, there are vets, there are farriers, there are dentists. There are just regular old horse guardians that are out there living this way. And I feel like building and growing this community of support and celebration around being in this space was very, very important in this time. And I know that there's a shift in the human world as well as the horsemanship world. And I think that the reason is they go and they move simultaneously. I think that the horse training industry is the way that it is because of the way we are raised, because it is very similar to how we treat the horses. To me, relationship is a relationship. Whether it's with a dog, a horse, a cat, another person, how you relate to others and their experience is based off of the amount of work you have done with yourself, who you believe you are, your story, your lens, how you see the world through your eyes and your experiences. And thinking often about like what's real, what's just been told to me, what feels actually good to me and ethical to me and in integrity, and what doesn't. And if I'm not speaking up around it, why am I not speaking up around it? And these are all the things that I really address in my private sessions and in my clinics. But now that I've moved into a space where I really want to focus on something bigger than my own personal work, which will definitely be weaved into these events, into these podcasts, into whatever I do moving forward, I really wanted it to be more about the collective. And I wanted to create a space where the trainers and the presenters that are doing the work like we're doing it have a place they can be invited, because there is not a lot of people like us being invited to regular expos. It's just not happening because honestly, it's not that exciting. There's no sweat, there's no blood, there's no running and panic and excitement. It's quiet work. It's powerful work. And when you understand what's going on, you realize the potent medicine that is in it. And that is what I really wanted to build. I decided for 2024 and beyond, I wanted to have a very large impact. And I felt like I could do that by supporting other professionals that were doing this work and bringing us together in community to learn from each other, all of it, just the expansion of the whole thing, and doing it in a place that was safe to do it in. I believe there's a lot of trainers that are in a place where they are in the in-between place, where they are pulling people from this traditional place, working them into this medium place, and then we're sort of pulling them deeper into the rabbit hole, if you will. And so I believe there's a spot for everybody, and I want to acknowledge and celebrate everyone. And I really want to do that through this podcast and through these events. I will say, me personally, in case you don't know me, my name is Amber Lydic. I am a former horse trainer of over 25 years who focused on performance horses with behavioral issues. So, because of this area that I was in, I had to take a lot of lessons and a lot of different disciplines. These were horses that were being shown that were all of a sudden having behavioral things come up that needed to be sorted. And I was sort of the person that went to that because I could understand that the details of each discipline and I knew what the person's goal was and I could get it and I could get it pretty quick. I will say at that point in my career, I was working the horse from the outside in. Like I was looking at the outside of the horse, what I wanted the outside to look like, what frame did I want them to be in, for what discipline and what did they need to do to be successful. And while I think when I did the groundwork, I realized looking back now, a lot of it was me maybe putting them in to more of a learned helplessness state. Maybe they were more shut down and I didn't recognize it. I don't feel like I ever had a horse that I wasn't successful with. There was never a horse, except for two, in my 25 years where I said, look, I don't think I can help. And one actually was the very first horse I ever tried to start, and it was a little Mustang, and her name was Daisy. I'll never forget. And I did all of the things that I knew how to do to start a horse. And I just said, you know what, like, I don't think she wants to be ridden. I don't think she wants to be a saddle horse. So she went on to be a very successful saddle bronc horse, and she got to do what she did best and buck and have babies and live in a pasture and, work rodeos every once in a while. And the second one was a rescue where I just knew that the lady didn't have the funds to put into what it was going to take to rehab this horse. But in my 25 years, those were the two horses that I thought, this isn't for them. Looking back, I can think of how many horses were physically in dysfunction, and that is why the behavioral issues were coming. I look back and I think of how many horses just allowed me to do what I did and not killed me, knowing that still the physical stuff was probably going on. But I think part of it is I worked a lot with the nervous system before I really understood what that was or how that even operated. And I think a lot of discomfort and pain can be alleviated through just even the nervous system. So I think I was really riding on that, my ability to do that for horses. The ability to make horses feel safe, etc., really took a lot of tension out and allowed me to go deeper and further with them. I really always knew that at the core level of each of these horses' issues was the human that was struggling to connect. They were in a mindset of this horse needs to do what I need, XYZ right now, because so there was a lot of resistance in the person's body. At that time in my life, I was very disconnected from myself. I was very disconnected from people in general. And so while I knew that that was something that was at base level an issue, I didn't know how to fix it or help it. And I don't really actually think I wanted to. And it wasn't really until I went on my own healing journey in 2017 where I really hit a place of rock bottom where I felt like everything was falling apart. And this would be considered the flames. And when we talk about alchemy, and I talk about the focus on what we're doing for the participants of this event coming up, it's taking you through the three stages of alchemy of transformation. First being the fire, where everything is in chaos, everything is burning to the ground, you feel like everything is falling apart. And whether that is triggered by, a relationship falling apart, losing a job, a sickness, a horse, bumping up against you with some major issues, whatever that fire is for you, that is the first step of this transformation. And that was what 2017 was for me. It was a time where it burned down and really showed me what was true for me and what wasn't. And the second stage is this sorting and this going through the ashes of what's left. Like, what's real? What do I want to keep? Now that this fire has burned away all these false perceptions, these stories I've had about myself, these beliefs I've had, what is left? What do I want to keep? And can I, in all of this mess, can I find the virtues? Can I find how this has made me stronger, how it's made me resilient, how it's allowed me to be patient with myself and love who I am more, respect myself more, honor my journey, my authenticity, call my power back? Because honestly, for the majority of my life and career, I was handing my power out to everyone, whatever they needed. I am a hardcore recovering people pleaser in every way. And 2017 for me, I could probably label as a very dark night of the soul. Everything was falling apart from my horses, my marriage, my property that I own, my business. And really, it's when I started to dive into my own healing journey, which is what led me to being able to do the work that I do now, and now also to this bigger, larger thing that I want to incorporate. And so the third stage is really integrating those things, doing life, but for real, from a place of honoring and respecting yourself, knowing what it took for you to get where you are, feeling into what feels right and good to you, and then living those decisions, having those boundaries. Who do I want in my life? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my career to look like? What professionals am I going to have in my life as far as for my horse? Trainers, vets, farriers. Can I trust myself enough to advocate for my horse? Me trusting my intuition, knowing what I know now, educating myself enough to ask the right questions of professionals. We never want to throw the professionals away. So when I talk about bringing power back to make those decisions, it's about tapping intuition about who and what professionals you have in your life, not to get rid of them altogether because they are valuable. We know that. And so from me evolving my career through all of that, I recognize when I look back at the Art of Equine Alchemy and the name came to me when I knew that I needed to change my training program altogether. And I felt like I really had to burn down my old way of being, like my old page had to go, like everything that looked similar to what I had done before, even though I was successful, quote unquote, it had to be different. And the only way I could do it is if it was completely wiped out. So I went to bed one night and I said, I just need to know what it is. What is it? What is the name of it? What do I need to do? What's next? And I woke up and I had heard the Art of Equine Alchemy. Well, to be very honest with all of you, I did not know really at a deep level what alchemy was, other than I knew it was like, I don't know, like turning something shitty and making it better. And I thought, well, that's great. That sounds great. I do that with horses. I can do that with people now. You know, sure, winning. And and it wasn't until not that long ago that I really dove into the psychological side of alchemy, the spiritual side of alchemy. And I recognized, wow, the work that I'm doing with people through all my training in theta and coaching and all of these things that I'd integrated over the last few years, and then my own experiences was I am doing that. I am doing these phases. I am doing the shadow work. I am doing this deep work. It's what I've been doing and integrating into my programs this whole time. And how rad now that I put the pieces together and said, can I do this on a larger scale? So these three phases is something that I want to take every single person that gets a ticket for this event. The moment you buy your ticket, you get access to an online portal that is going to take you through these three stages of transformation. It's going to be done in a way where I will give you some actual meditations to do. There'll be journaling and really a lot of prep time before this event, because this event is not only about the people that are going to have their horses out there be working with each of these six presenters. It's not only about them, but I want it to be about everyone and witnessing it. And I want you to connect with other people that are on the same journey as you, because all of us together creating this community is what is going to shift the industry. Whether you're a trainer, whether you're a professional in some other way, or just a horse guardian, having conversations where you're so rooted in your beliefs about how things can be done just with other peers, this is how the seeds get planted and spread. I don't want anyone to ever think that because they don't have a big platform or they're not a professional doing these things. It doesn't matter. Your voice and your experience can have a trickle down effect much larger than you ever expected. And so I really want to take people through these processes so that they can call their power back, that they can tap into that, they can know who they are. And this is going to carry over in your barn life, but also in your personal life. And I promise you, at the end of the day, the shifts that you're going to have are going to be so freaking big. So that's why the Art of Equine Alchemy, while it is a live event, I really wanted to integrate this other side of it. You're also going to get 2 calls where we're going to be able to process some stuff right before the event and make sure that if there's any questions and that need to be answered or any clarification, like I'm there for that. You also will get a Facebook group that you'll be entered into immediately, where you'll be able to start to get to know all of these people that are on this journey with you, uh, even connecting ride shares, places to stay, all of the things. The event is in Carmel, California. And if you have not been there, it is probably one of the top 5 most beautiful places in California. It is a gorgeous town. It has the most beautiful oak trees. It's right on the coast. The weather in October is fantastic. So, so yeah, that alone is reason for you to come spend the weekend. The presenters that we have lined up are Celeste Lazaris, Tara Davis, Heather Corneman, Ellie O'Brien, Dana Lavelle, and Stephanie Spielopter. I suck at that. Spielopter. Wait. Spielopter. Anyways, she helped me on her podcast to say her name, and we're all going to practice together. So by the time the event comes, we are going to have it nailed. All of them are going to be working with individuals and their horses. They're going to be showing you how they, as an individual trainer, incorporate all of this connection, all of the physical parts of the body, all of the mental aspects of both horse and human. They're going to show you how they do that, what it looks like in real life. And throughout that, we are going to be weaving in these other stages of transformation for you as well. So this is just not going to be you passively sitting by watching these people have this work done. It's also going to be you having your own experience as well. If you are feeling the call to do just a little bit more, you're like, you know what? Like, I am freaking ready to dive all the way in. We have a full immersion pass, which gets you an extra day ahead of time. We will start at 3 o'clock, and Shaylee and I are going to do a deep dive ceremony with you guys. This is a smaller group. We've limited it so that we can make it very intimate. After this ceremony, we're going to go into a cocktail hour with all of the presenters. They will be there for you to mingle with. Then we are going to have a catered dinner and just time to hang out and get to know everyone at a personal level before the event starts. We wanted to make this really special for people that were just craving a little bit more and ready to go a little deeper, you know? So those are the two options, but I will tell you the event is going to be one of many, and it is going to be very transformational for the people out there, for the trainers and the presenters that are doing it, and also for anyone coming to watch. The full immersion day is Thursday. We start on the 17th, and then we go the 18th and 19th is each of the presenters going for an hour and the other stuff integrated in. There'll be lunch, there'll be snacks. Friday night, there is a dinner that you have the option to purchase. They'll be coming there to cook. There's an entire space where there's a picnic area. It's beautiful. And Saturday, same thing. We'll have a lunch available for you to purchase. And after, everyone's going to go do their own thing for dinner. And then Sunday morning, we'll have breakfast available early. And what will happen is we are going to do a live Q&A session. So throughout the weekend, if you have questions pop up that you want to answer, they don't get answered, there's going to be a box for you to drop them in. And on that Sunday, we'll have a few hours in the morning to go through those questions. And then you can ask them in real time, be able to connect with the presenters, get all your stuff together and wrapped up before we send you on your way. Also, a couple weeks after the event, I'm going to do another Zoom call that will help support the integration back into the real world, because I know sometimes that's hard. And so that will be after, and you'll get an email to let you know when that's happening. So the event in itself, that's the nutshell, 17th through the 20th. And the trainers that are going to be there are phenomenal. The things they're going to do are great. The following episodes after this first episode are going to be interviews with them. So you guys will get to know them on a personal level. And like, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not messing around with this podcast. We're not going to just go surface level. Like, we get right to the nitty gritty. And I will tell you that Steffi's interview made me cry. And that has never happened to me before when I'm interviewing someone. So that was a first. So they're good. They're good. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Share this if you think anyone is going to be excited about this event. You know, the tickets are going live. We're gonna have some pre-sale limited edition ones where they're a little cheaper if you're ready to just say yes to it, and there's a limited amount. So be ready, be waiting. The link will be in the show notes of this podcast and posted everywhere. And I look forward to you guys getting to know the presenters that are coming up in the interviews following this. And I'm just excited for the new trajectory of my career and my life and where it's going. A lot of you have been with me from the beginning, and it just feels like this is definitely not one event. It's definitely one of many. And this podcast may be starting off with the trainers that are presenting at this first expo. And I'm also going to interview some of the supporting professionals that are joining us as well. So there won't just be these presenters. They'll have booths to be able to, you can go and sit with them and chat with them one-on-one. But there's also going to be some supporting professionals as well. So I'm also going to interview them. So I think that this will also keep going. Like, this will keep going into and beyond this. It's going to be reaching out, finding trainers that are doing the work like this, giving them a platform to share their work, giving them a place for you guys to find new contacts and new support systems. And so if you have people that you know are doing this work and you value them and it feels aligned, then please share them with me, because I love to support other professionals. So I think that's it for the first episode. I will throw this on YouTube. I will throw it in a podcast, and we'll just see what happens. I just want to thank you guys for being on this wild ass ride with me. And I appreciate you and all the people that have helped support me, get me to this place. Like, I'm excited to see where it goes. So, hasta pasta. See you guys in the next episode.